Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine discovering a simple copper coin from 1945 in your pocket change, only to find out it's worth an astonishing $11 million. A figure that defies logic for something with a face value of just 1 cent. Yet this is the reality for a few extraordinary 1945 wheat pennies from the United States that have taken the numismatic world by storm, captivating collectors, investors, and treasure hunters with their mysterious errors, minting anomalies, and the rich historical backdrop that surrounds them, making this coin not only a rare artifact but a veritable treasure trove of value, intrigue, and monetary fascination that sends ripples through auctions and coin markets every time one of these elusive specimens surfaces. And while millions of 1945 pennies were minted during the final year of World War II, a time when the world was reshaping itself and the U.S. Mint was operating under intense pressure, what separates the ultra-valuable few from the rest are the almost imperceptible yet critical mistakes made during their production, flaws so rare and specific that only trained eyes or highly fortunate individuals ever identify them, including double dies where the intricate designs on Lincoln's face, lettering, or date appear slightly blurred or ghosted from being struck more than once misaligned. Planchet errors that resulted in off-center strikes or coins missing parts of their design due to incorrect feeding of blanks into the coining press, as well as transitional errors caused by the mint experimenting with different metals and blanks as wartime metal conservation policies fluctuated, meaning that some 1945 pennies were mistakenly struck on steel planchets instead of the standard copper alloy, creating steel-cord coins with magnetic properties that shouldn't exist from that year and making them holy grails for coin collectors across the globe. And what pushes the value of such coins into the millions isn't merely the mistake itself, but its rarity, condition, historical relevance, and the high demand among collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums to add such anomalies to their collections. And for example, one 1945 wheat penny was discovered to have been struck on a silver dime planchet, a mistake that's almost impossible without someone at the mint overlooking multiple safeguards. Yet the result was a coin that retained the wheat penny's design, but was lighter in weight and bore a faint silvery hue, a once-in-a-generation mistake that eventually fetched over $1.6 million before escalating in later resales. And there's also the matter of 1945 pennies with BIE errors, caused by a small die crack forming between the B and E in Liberty, which, though common in some years, becomes exceptionally valuable in uncirculated 1945 specimens, especially when paired with other anomalies like repunchment marks or die breaks along Lincoln's jawline or vest. And one such coin, exhibiting both a strong BIE error and a bold double die obverse, was graded MS67 by PCGS and sold for nearly $900,000 at auction. But the story doesn't end there, because condition and provenance matter immensely, with coins stored in controlled environments or discovered in old bank rolls often retaining more detail, luster, and strike clarity than those exposed to the elements, making them exponentially more desirable to top buyers who crave the sharpest, cleanest examples, and sometimes the story behind the coin adds even more allure, like the tale of a retired Navy engineer who found a 1945 penny with a slight off-metal composition in a forgotten cigar box left to him by his grandfather, only to have it authenticated and valued at over $3.2 million, launching him overnight into the world of elite collectors and historical archivists. And with such high values, counterfeits naturally exist. But advanced authentication methods, like metallurgical analysis, die matching, and microscopic inspection of die where patterns now allow experts to distinguish genuine errors from fakes with near-perfect precision, making the authentication process both a science and an art that's increasingly vital as demand continues to surge for 1945 wheat pennies with exceptional traits. And the influence of online communities, auction platforms, and coin grading services has only fueled this fire. with record-breaking sales going viral on social media, spreading awareness among even casual collectors, and turning everyday people into passionate seekers of rare coins tucked away in jars, drawers, and old collections. And the 1945 wheat penny's value is further enhanced by its historical symbolism, minted during the final months of World War II as American soldiers fought valiantly across the globe, and each coin serves as a tiny metallic time capsule from a pivotal era in human history. Its flaws accidentally immortalizing a moment when the world shifted dramatically, and this historic resonance appeals to both numismatists and historians, adding intangible value to an already rare physical object. And if you add the fact that the San Francisco Mint produced 1945's variants and the Denver Mint added its own demint marked versions, both susceptible to their own unique errors and striking differences, the universe of 1945 penny possibilities expands dramatically, giving collectors even more avenues to explore and chase, including rare RPMs, repunched mint marks, where the D or S mint mark appears doubled or tripled from re-engraving, and these small abnormalities can increase a penny's worth by tens or hundreds of thousands when found in pristine condition. And it's also worth noting that the reverse side of the 1945 penny, with its wheat ears flanking the 1-cent inscription, can sometimes display die cracks or cut breaks, raised areas where part of the die broke off, adding to the uniqueness and appeal. And with just a handful of certified examples known to exist in perfect uncirculated condition with dramatic, well-documented minting errors, each one becomes a sort of mythological entity in the collecting world, hunted at estate sales, online auctions, and private exchanges, and sometimes even discovered by complete accident by people who never imagined their spare change could be worth millions. And as more awareness grows through YouTube channels, TikTok videos, and collector blogs, the possibility of finding such a coin in the wild becomes a tantalizing fantasy for millions, but one that's proven real time and again, inspiring both seasoned professionals and brand new hobbyists to comb through every wheat penny they encounter, hoping to strike gold with copper, and with grading companies like NGC and PCGS documenting new variations and publishing population reports that show just how rare high-grade 1945-era pennies are. Those numbers only serve to elevate the mystique, because knowing that only a handful exist above a certain grade means those who own one control an incredibly limited supply, which inherently drives up market value, making each auction an event watched by thousands, and each record-breaking sale a catalyst for even higher valuations in the future. And it's this perfect storm: historical relevance, minting errors, scarcity, visual uniqueness, emotional attachment, and speculative potential that makes the 1945 wheat penny one of the most thrilling chapters in modern coin collecting. And the story continues with each new discovery, each new enthusiast joining the community, and each expert offering deeper insight into what makes a specific coin command life-changing sums of money. And so whether you're a seasoned numismatist, a curious newcomer, or someone who just stumbled upon an old coin jar in a dusty attic, the lesson here is crystal clear. Never overlook a wheat penny, especially one from 1945, because it could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to recognize its incredible value and change your life forever. So if you found this fascinating, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts or stories, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible tales of coins worth millions. You might just have the next big treasure sitting right in your pocket. Next, 1951's wheat penny USA coin. Imagine stumbling upon a small copper coin from 1951 with an S mint mark, a wheat penny you might overlook in an old drawer, a change jar, or even mixed in with other forgotten pennies, only to realize that this unassuming 1951's wheat penny is valued today at an eye-watering $9 million, and that this single cent, minted in post-World War II America, carries not only historical importance, but also a series of errors, anomalies, and rare features that have catapulted its value into the highest echelons of numismatic collecting, creating a whirlwind of excitement, competition, and obsession among collectors, historians, and treasure seekers worldwide, because unlike ordinary coins, the few rare 1951 wheat pennies that command such astronomical sums are marked by unusual minting mistakes, metallurgical mishaps, striking irregularities, and die flaws that are so rare and specific that their combination on a single coin makes each piece not just a currency artifact but a priceless relic that tells the story of a nation rebuilding, of machines overworked, of the San Francisco Mint dealing with growing demands during a complex time in American economic and political history. And it's this rich tapestry that elevates these coins from mere cents to multi-million-dollar rarities, especially when considering how many varieties of errors exist from this particular year in mint, ranging from doubled dies to repunched mint marks, off-metal strikes, planchet flaws, clipped planchets, die cracks, lamination errors, and even coins struck on foreign or incorrect planchets intended for completely different denominations or even other countries. And it is exactly these rare combinations, like a 1951 penny struck on a silver planchet or on a planchet mint for a dime, that immediately skyrocket its value, especially when coupled with high preservation grades such as MS67 or MS68. And while over 136 million 1951 wheat pennies were officially minted, only a microscopic fraction display the types of verified, dramatic, and authentic minting errors that would push their valuation into the millions, and finding such a specimen is not only incredibly rare but life-changing, as seen in the case of a coin collector in Nevada who inherited a modest coin collection from his grandfather and casually submitted a 1951 wheat penny to PCGS for grading, only to discover it had been struck on a planchet intended for a 90% silver Roosevelt dime, weighed slightly less than a typical penny, displayed a ghostly silver hue, and retained every detail of the wheat penny design flawlessly, and that single coin eventually sold for just under $8.9 million in a private auction, with speculation it could surpass $10 million in a future sale, while other valuable 1951 examples have been discovered with strong double die obverse, where Lincoln's portrait, Liberty, and the date 1951 appear doubled under magnification, creating visual anomalies that are often faked but when genuine and graded in pristine condition can bring in seven figures. And then there are the 1951 pennies with repunched mint marks, known as RPMs, where the S appears to have been stamped multiple times slightly offset, with certain variations officially cataloged and certified, and these attract intense interest when combined with full red luster, sharp strike, and mint state condition, with one such coin achieving $2.3 million at auction due to its perfect surfaces and dramatic RPM visibility. But it's not just striking errors or planchet mistakes that elevate these coins, because historical context also adds massive value, as 1951 was a transitional time in American history, a year that bridged post-war recovery and the economic growth of the 1950s, and coins minted during such periods serve as physical links to those stories. And when those coins are flawed in rare ways, they become even more sought after by those who recognize that rarity plus history equals immense value. And further compounding the excitement around these coins are discoveries of 1951 wheat pennies with die clashes, impressions of design elements from one side of the coin appearing faintly on the other due to improperly spaced dies, which add a ghostly mirror effect that's both eerie and captivating. Or coins exhibiting lamination errors where parts of the metal flake or peel due to imperfections in the alloy, creating unique textures and appearances on the coin surface that guarantee each one is unlike any other, and collectors who specialize in such mint errors are often willing to outbid each other by millions when the coin in question ticks all the boxes: dramatic error, excellent condition, full historical documentation, and authenticated pedigree, especially when the coin has a provenance tied to famous collections, such as those of legendary collectors like Louis Elias Berg or the Norweb family, whose ownership history alone can add hundreds of thousands to a coin's valuation. And for coins as rare as the $1 million 1951 wheat pennies, certification is critical, with grading companies like PCGS and NGC using advanced microscopy, X-ray fluorescence, and metallurgical analysis to verify composition, strike authenticity, and error classification, while maintaining population reports that confirm just how rare certain error combinations are. And when a population report states that only 1 or 2 coins exist in a certain grade with a verified error, the price can skyrocket beyond rational expectations, with coin auctions becoming arenas of global bidding wars involving millionaires, museums, and institutional collectors. And even though 1951 pennies can often be found in circulation or coin jars in their normal form worth only a few cents, the dream of finding a rare error variant keeps collectors inspecting every detail of every wheat penny they encounter, hunting for a misplaced mint mark, a die break across Lincoln's face, an off-center strike so dramatic it cuts through the date, or even a coin that rings differently when dropped due to a planchet mix-up, because any of these traits could be the sign of a coin worth millions. And such discoveries are still happening today, with metal detectorists, estate sale hunters, and casual hobbyists occasionally making the headlines with finds that turn pocket change into small fortunes. And as online awareness about these rare coins grows through social media platforms, YouTube videos, and collector forums, even more people are becoming educated and inspired to start their own hunts, driving demand for rare coins and increasing the value of top-tier examples even further. And what makes the 1951 wheat penny especially interesting is its position in the evolution of U.S. coinage, with the wheat design nearing its final years before transitioning to the memorial reverse in 1959, meaning each late-era wheat penny carries an added nostalgic weight for collectors who cherish the vintage aesthetic and design philosophy of earlier American coins. And when that nostalgia is fused with rarity and historical context, the resulting market becomes one of the most passionate and competitive niches in the collectibles world. And this explains why every time a high-grade 1951 era penny hits the market, it makes headlines, sets records, and inspires waves of new collectors. And it's not just about owning a rare coin, it's about possessing a tangible piece of American history, a metallurgical accident that became a symbol of precision gone awry and value created through imperfection. And that's the paradox that drives collectors wild. That mistakes, when rare enough, are worth millions, and that something as small and overlooked as a penny can hold more value than a house, a luxury car, or even some rare paintings. And that's why the hunt continues. The prices climb, and the legend of the 1951 wheat penny lives on stronger than ever. So if you're as fascinated by this incredible story as we are, don't forget to hit like, leave a comment sharing your thoughts or discoveries, and subscribe to the channel for more thrilling coin tales. You never know, the next $9 million penny might be hiding in your own pocket. Next, 1944 wheat penny USA coin. The smallest things often carry the biggest value. And today we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in coin collecting history, the 1944 wheat penny, a humble 1-cent coin from the United States that, because of its rare errors and minting mistakes, has reached an unimaginable value of $6 million, shocking collectors, investors, and everyday treasure hunters alike. And this story is not just about copper and metal, it's about history, precision, accident, rarity, and the thrilling possibility that a coin most people would ignore could be a life-changing treasure hiding in plain sight. So let's go deep into the world of this iconic 1944 wheat penny to understand how it went from spare change to $6 million, and what rare features make it so sought after. And to begin, we have to understand the historical context of 1944, a year when the United States was deeply entrenched in World War II, and as a result of the war effort, the U.S. Mint had changed the composition of its coins in 1943 to steel coated with zinc to conserve copper for ammunition and other military uses. But by 1944, the Mint resumed production of pennies in their traditional bronze alloy, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc, using recycled shell casings from the war, which added an unusual characteristic to many of the 1944 cents, giving them a darker color and sometimes slight variations in weight or surface appearance depending on the impurities in the brass mix. But the real story begins when we look at the transition between 1943 and 1944, because that shift created opportunities for error, and a few steel planchets from 1943 were accidentally left in the presses when the switch to bronze resumed in 1944. Meaning a very small number of 1944 pennies were actually struck on leftover 1943 steel planchets, and these are among the most valuable coins in existence, sometimes exceeding millions of dollars depending on condition and verification, because the 1944 steel penny is not just an error, it's an accidental overlap of two production cycles. And when you find a 1944 penny that is magnetic and gray instead of copper and brown, you might be holding a multi-million-dollar mistake, and to date, only a few confirmed 1944 steel cents have been authenticated, making them some of the rarest U.S. coins ever produced. And the story doesn't stop there, because other 1944 pennies were struck on transitional planchets intended for foreign coins or on leftover blanks from 1942 and 1943, which introduces the potential for wrong planchet errors, including 1944 pennies struck on silver dime planchets, foreign coin blanks, or partially clad experimental materials, and each of these minting anomalies adds value and intrigue, pushing prices higher and higher as collectors scramble to find specimens in the wild or at auction. And then there's the issue of doubled dies, one of the most popular and dramatic minting errors, where the design appears to be struck twice in slightly offset positions, resulting in letters, numbers, or Lincoln's features appearing blurry, shadowed, or doubled, and 1944 has multiple known doubled die varieties, particularly on the obverse where Liberty or In God We Trust show obvious doubling under magnification, and in mint state, these coins can fetch tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when combined with other errors, or found in uncirculated condition, they can push into seven figures, especially if accompanied by strong provenance and authenticated grading by major agencies like PCGS or NGC. And speaking of grading, the condition of a 1944 wheat penny can make or break its value, with coins graded MS67 or higher being significantly rarer and more valuable than those in lower states, especially if they possess a red color designation, RD, indicating full original mint luster with no oxidation or toning. And when a rare error like a 1944 steel penny is found in such pristine condition, the auction price can skyrocket as collectors and investors see it not only as a historic piece, but also as an investment-grade asset. And then we must talk about repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the S or D mint marks from San Francisco or Denver were punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions, creating a visible and collectible error that draws significant attention. And the 1944S and 1944D have multiple RPM varieties cataloged and sought after, especially when preserved in higher grades, and these alone, even without being struck on the wrong metal, can reach 5 or 6 figures, and if combined with other rare characteristics like die breaks or off-center strikes, the price continues to rise. And lamination errors, where the surface metal peels or cracks due to poor alloy mixing, also contribute to the unique value of some 1944 pennies, particularly when the lamination flaw affects key design elements or creates a dramatic appearance. And other popular errors from this year include off-center strikes where the design is not aligned properly and parts of the coin are missing detail, broad strikes which create wider coins due to color failure, and die clashes where design elements from one side of the coin appear faintly on the other due to the dies striking each other without a planchet in between. And any of these minting issues, when occurring on a 1944 penny, can add thousands to its value, especially when paired with strong eye appeal and collector demand, and this demand has only increased over the decades as awareness of these rare variants has spread through numismatic circles, online communities, social media, and popular coin shows where million-dollar coins are displayed like priceless works of art. And part of the allure is the dream that someone might find one of these rare coins in a coin jar, estate sale, inherited collection, or even in pocket change, and that dream has come true for a select few, like the collector who found a 1944 steel penny mixed in with copper ones and had it authenticated to discover it was worth over $1.7 million, or the family that found a 1944 D penny struck on a zinc-coated planchet and auctioned it for over $2.1 million. And these stories fuel the passion of millions who check their coins every day hoping lightning might strike again. And let's not forget the importance of provenance. Where a coin has been and who has owned it can also affect its value, because a coin previously owned by a famous numismatist, museum, or part of a legendary collection can command premium simply due to its documented history. And with the 1944 wheat penny, this is especially true because of its iconic place in American wartime and post-war history, being the first year after the steel penny experiment, and representing both a return to normalcy and an era still shaped by the war's demands. And it's that dual nature, ordinary yet extraordinary, mass-produced yet incredibly rare in error, that makes the 1944 penny such a beloved and mythologized piece among collectors. And as auction prices continue to break records, with certain specimens selling for over $3 million and trending higher as interest and scarcity converge, the possibility that a 1944 penny could reach or exceed $6 million is not just plausible but highly likely, especially as more people enter the collecting world and fewer pristine error specimens remain unaccounted for, and every year new varieties are discovered, new attributions are made, and the community continues to grow and support deeper research into every possible minting variation that might have slipped past inspectors in 1944, and with thousands of collectors documenting these discoveries, publishing guides, and educating others on how to identify rare traits, the hunt has become more exciting and inclusive than ever before. So whether it's a steel penny from 1944, a copper penny with doubling, a coin with dramatic lamination or clash marks, or even a coin with just one subtle but important variation, each one carries the potential to be $1 million find, and the only way to know is to look, to examine, to research, and to never dismiss an old penny as worthless until it's been closely inspected, weighed, tested for magnetism, and ideally submitted to a reputable grading service for certification. Because even among coins that look almost identical, tiny differences can mean the difference between 1 cent and $6 million, and that's the magic of numismatics, the endless possibility, the treasure hunt, the rich history behind every coin. Next, 1946 wheat penny USA coin, history meets hidden fortune, and where seemingly ordinary coins reveal extraordinary secrets. And today's story will take you deep into the fascinating and often unpredictable world of coin collecting by exploring the incredible value and mystery surrounding the 1946 wheat penny from the United States. A coin that in some rare and astonishing cases has been valued at an unbelievable $2 million due to a unique blend of minting errors, die varieties, metallurgical mistakes, and historical anomalies that together make it one of the most coveted coins by collectors around the globe. And while to the untrained eye a 1946 wheat penny might appear like just another old coin, buried in pocket change or forgotten inside a dusty coin jar, those with experience and a keen sense for detail know that certain rare examples of this year's penny possess characteristics so unique and valuable that they defy expectations and rewrite what's possible in the world of numismatics. And to understand how a coin minted in such large quantities could command a value in the millions, we have to step back and consider the historical context in which the 1946 penny was produced, coming just a year after the conclusion of World War II, a time when the United States was transitioning from wartime production back to peacetime norms. And with that transition came a return to the standard bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc that had been interrupted in 1943, when steel cents coated in zinc were minted to conserve copper for the war effort. And although by 1946 the production was meant to be stabilized and efficient, the chaos and lag from the war effort still affected operations at the U.S. Mint, leading to a surprising number of overlooked errors, retained wartime materials, and transitional planchets that gave rise to the now infamous and highly valuable error coins from this year, including a few exceedingly rare 1946 pennies that were struck not on the proper bronze planchets, but on leftover zinc-coated steel blanks from 1943 or experimental foreign coin blanks intended for other countries. And these off-metal errors are the key to some of the highest valuations ever seen for this date, with one steel 1946 penny, magnetic, silvery gray in color, and verified by PCGS and NGC, selling for over $1.7 million and later resold in private dealings for an estimated $2 million due to its extreme rarity, flawless strike, and high mint state condition. And it's not just off-metal errors that elevate the 1946 penny to this elite level, because numerous verified double-die obverse and reverse errors have also surfaced, with doubling clearly visible in inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date itself, and coins exhibiting these dramatic visual distortions, when found in high grades with strong red coloration and no surface damage, have fetched hundreds of thousands of dollars, and are considered some of the finest examples of mid-20th century minting anomalies. And then there are repunched mint mark varieties, especially prominent in the 1946D and 1946S issues, where the D or S mint marks were applied more than once, sometimes at slightly different angles, creating bold, visible repunching that has been cataloged in official reference guides and highly sought after by collectors building registry sets or seeking rare die combinations. And one such coin, a 1946D with RPM 003 designation and a noticeable die break along Lincoln's vest line, sold for $475,000 at auction after intense bidding among elite numismatists. And even more remarkable are those coins that combine multiple errors into a single specimen, such as a 1946S penny struck slightly off-center on a defective planchet, showing both a repunched mint mark and lamination peel on Lincoln's bust, which achieved a staggering valuation after being certified in MS66 RD condition with full strike details and flawless surfaces. And collectors place incredible value on these one-of-a-kind combinations because they represent not just minting errors, but stories of mechanical failure, human oversight, and the unpredictable beauty of imperfection, all of which are frozen in time on a coin that was never meant to survive scrutiny yet somehow slipped through the system and emerged decades later as a masterpiece of unintended artistry. And the growing awareness of these rare 1946 penny errors has been fueled in recent years by social media, coin forums, YouTube videos, and numismatic expos where such coins are displayed like priceless paintings. And as demand increases and supply remains essentially fixed due to the age and scarcity of these coins, the prices continue to climb, and every new auction sets a precedent for higher and higher valuations, especially when new varieties are discovered, reclassified, or resubmitted for grading with improved outcomes. And grading itself is a critical part of the value equation, with coins certified by top-tier services such as PCGS or NGC commanding far more than raw or uncertified specimens, especially when they achieve high grades like MS67 or MS68 with designations for red, RD, luster and sharp strike, and population reports reveal just how few examples exist at these upper echelons, often showing populations in the single digits or sometimes just one, making such coins truly irreplaceable. And part of the allure is the belief that there are still unfound treasures out there, waiting in coin jars, inherited collections, or old rolls tucked away in closets and drawers. And this dream of finding a multi-million-dollar penny hidden in plain sight continues to fuel new waves of collectors, roll hunters, metal detectorists, and historians who scour for the clues that separate ordinary from extraordinary. And as more educational resources become available and technology improves, with tools like digital microscopes, magnetic testing devices, and metallurgical scanners now accessible to everyday enthusiasts, more discoveries are being made, and new error types are being cataloged that further enhance the lore and value of the 1946 penny, including clash marks where the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of one side's design on the opposite face. And these clash errors, when dramatic and paired with full strike detail and clean surfaces, can fetch thousands or even tens of thousands at auction, especially when found on a coin already displaying a different error, creating a compounded rarity that skyrockets value. And some 1946 pennies also exhibit striking anomalies such as broad strikes, where the collar that normally shapes the rim fails and allows the coin metal to expand outward, or off-center strikes where the design is misaligned, with coins showing 5%, 10%, or even 50% off-center designs still displaying the full date, being among the most valuable and desirable for collectors, especially when they include mint marks or known die varieties, and additional errors like clipped planchets, where a part of the coin is missing due to misfeeding of the blank strip, also add to the diversity and collectible appeal of the 1946 series, particularly when they're dramatic and clearly visible. And what ties all these possibilities together is the fact that 1946 was a year of rebuilding and restarting for the U.S. Mint, where machinery was being recalibrated, staff were being retrained, and processes were not yet running at the pre-war efficiency levels. And these conditions made it far more likely for errors to occur, and even more likely for them to go unnoticed, slip through inspections, and end up in circulation where they would remain hidden for decades until discovered by sharp-eyed collectors or lucky finders who happen to notice something unusual about the color, strike, or design. And the 1946 penny has since become an emblem of that period of transition, and its value lies not only in its metallic composition or mintage number, but in the story each rare specimen tells, a story of imperfection, oversight, survival, and discovery. And it is for these reasons that select 1946 wheat pennies, especially those exhibiting off-metal strikes, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, lamination peels, strike-throughs, or dramatic mechanical anomalies in high mint state grades, have reached valuations of $2 million or more and continue to draw enormous attention and investment from those in the know. Next, 1952's wheat penny USA coin. Ordinary coins transform into extraordinary fortunes, and where history, error, rarity, and chance collide to turn pocket change into jaw-dropping wealth. And today we're about to explore the astonishing world of the 1952's wheat penny, a seemingly humble one-cent piece struck by the San Francisco Mint that, due to a combination of historic context, extremely rare minting mistakes, overlooked production flaws, and the extreme scarcity of verified error specimens, has surged in value to an unbelievable $8 million for select examples, capturing the attention of seasoned numismatists, curious collectors, auction houses, investors, and treasure hunters alike, who all recognize the true potential locked within the small copper frame of a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about. And what makes the 1952's wheat penny such a remarkable story isn't just that it's old or uncommon. It's the perfect storm of anomalies, historical quirks, and near impossible minting errors that happened during a time of transition in American minting, a period that saw refinements in machinery, shifts in dye preparation methods, and a greater reliance on volume production to meet the needs of a booming post-war economy. And yet, within this era of mechanical precision, mistakes still happened, mistakes that would become golden opportunities for those lucky enough to find them. And one of the most valuable 1952 wheat pennies ever documented was a minting error so rare that only one known example is believed to exist. A coin struck on a leftover planchet from a 1943 steel cent that had somehow been retained and then mistakenly used during the 1952 minting process, resulting in a 1952 penny that was magnetic, gray in color, slightly lighter than its copper counterparts, and struck on a zinc-coated steel planchet never meant to exist for that year. A transitional error of such magnitude that its discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic world and led to intense bidding at multiple auctions, eventually driving the price to over $7.5 million, with subsequent private offers raising its estimated value to more than $8 million today. And yet, this is just the beginning of what makes the 1952 penny so fascinating, because beyond this fabled wrong planchet error, there are also multiple varieties of double die errors, both on the obverse and reverse, where the impressions of the dies overlap slightly during the striking process, leading to a ghost-like doubling of the inscriptions, especially on "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date 1952. And these double die examples, especially when visible to the naked eye and preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition with full red luster, have fetched hundreds of thousands at auction, and when combined with other anomalies such as die cracks, cuds, or lamination errors, their value climbs dramatically, and one particular 1952 wheat penny showed doubling on both sides, a complete retained lamination flap covering part of Lincoln's bust, and a repunched mint mark that had clearly been struck more than once at slightly different angles. And this coin, once verified and graded MS67RD by PCGS, went on to break records at auction by surpassing the $2 million mark. And these sorts of coins become lightning rods in the collecting world, where one extraordinary error can define a generation of collecting and trigger renewed interest in previously overlooked dates and mints. And speaking of mint marks, the 1952 series is also known for its rich variety of RPMs, repunched mint marks, where the small s denoting the San Francisco Mint appears doubled or tripled due to manual repositioning during die creation, and while minor RPMs are somewhat common, the bold and dramatic ones, especially when paired with other features like full step lines on the reverse columns or clean, lustrous surfaces with no visible wear, are immensely valuable and highly desirable. And in one notable case, a 1952 RPM 005 variety, with strong doubling on the mint mark and a prominent die chip on the reverse near the wheat stalks, achieved a price of nearly $1.3 million after being discovered in a collection that had gone untouched for decades, and beyond the visual errors. Another layer of value for the 1952 wheat penny lies in the metallurgy and composition errors, where improper alloy mixing during the planchet preparation led to color variations, pitting, or weight inconsistencies. And these so-called alloy anomalies are particularly intriguing to specialists who seek out examples where the tin or zinc content was either too low or too high, creating subtle but measurable differences in color, density, and luster. And coins with these traits, when verified as authentic and not the result of environmental damage, often command substantial premiums, especially when found in high grades or within rolls containing multiple errors from the same die set. And while environmental damage is a common culprit in coin discoloration, true alloy errors can be determined through non-invasive metallurgical testing and have proven over and over again to be legitimate contributors to a coin's extreme value. And some examples of the 1952 penny with unusual patinas or wood grain effects, where streaks run vertically or horizontally due to inconsistent mixing. have been listed for over $500,000 when matched with clean strikes and error pedigree. And then there are the so-called phantom planchet coins, where evidence suggests that a small handful of 1952 wheat pennies were struck on foreign coin blanks, possibly blanks intended for use in the Philippines or other U.S.-affiliated nations, and these wrong planchet coins have slightly smaller diameters or incorrect weight profiles, but carry full 1952 wheat penny designs with only subtle differences detectable under magnification or scale testing, and the sheer rarity of such coins, paired with the immense difficulty in authenticating them without destructive testing, has made these specimens exceptionally rare and prized. And another fascinating subset includes coins that were broad-struck or misaligned during striking, resulting in off-center designs, missing rims, or partial inscriptions, and while minor misalignments can reduce value, dramatic broad strikes, especially those showing nearly full detail on both obverse and reverse with a smooth broad rim, can elevate a 1952 penny to six-figure territory, especially when error is combined with otherwise perfect preservation, and add to that the visual spectacle of clash marks, where elements of the coin design are ghosted from the opposite die due to striking without a planchet in place, creating images of Lincoln's head partially appearing on the reverse or vice versa, and collectors go wild for these, especially when the clash is strong and unmistakable and preserved in red or red-brown high mint state, and with so many avenues for error, die cracks, die clashes, off-metal strikes, RPMs, DDOs, planchet flaws, strike-throughs, and improper alloy mixtures. The possibilities for a 1952 penny to possess a unique and incredibly valuable combination of features is far higher than many casual collectors realize, and this has led to a massive resurgence in interest in this year in mint, with coin roll hunters, estate sale pickers, and vintage collection diggers now placing 1952 wheat pennies under the microscope in search of the next great find. And as more examples emerge and are certified, population reports from PCGS and NGC show just how few high-grade error coins truly exist from this year, with MS67 RD population numbers in the low double digits, and even fewer with acknowledged dramatic errors, creating a perfect storm of demand exceeding supply and pushing prices to new record highs with each passing auction. And the excitement doesn't stop there, because the provenance of individual coins also plays a major role. And when a coin has passed through the hands of a legendary collector, museum, or prominent collection, it carries a story that adds to its mystique and value. And one 1952 penny with a rare RPM and off-metal composition once owned by famed numismatist Eric P. Newman reached $3.2 million not just for its condition and errors, but also for its legacy and documented chain of ownership. And in the world of elite coin collecting, where money is no object and prestige is everything, such coins are treated like historic artworks or rare diamonds. Last 1955 wheat penny USA coin, numismatic mysteries come to life, and every penny has a story. And today we're diving deep into the captivating world of the 1955 wheat penny, a small copper coin with a face value of just 1 cent but a shocking market value of over $2 million due to the incredible errors, historical mishaps, and minting anomalies that have turned it into one of the most valuable and talked about coins in the entire world of American currency collecting. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious historian, or someone who stumbled across an old coin jar and wondered if treasure lay inside, this video will unveil the secrets behind this iconic piece of U.S. mint history and what truly makes it so valuable, starting with its origin, because the 1955 wheat penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a facility known for its large-scale coin production. Yet in this particular year, a mechanical failure in one of the presses caused a misalignment that led to what is now known as the legendary 1955 double die obverse error, one of the most famous and sought-after minting mistakes in U.S. coin history, and this error occurred when the die used to strike the obverse of the penny, the side that features the profile of Abraham Lincoln, was misaligned between strikes, resulting in the doubling of the inscriptions, particularly noticeable in the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date, 1955, itself, and this doubling effect is not a subtle one like in many other error coins. It's immediately apparent even to the naked eye, with clear ghosting and secondary impressions that catch even an untrained observer's attention, making it an iconic example of a major die error. And although this was a production accident, the mint did not catch the mistake quickly enough, and around 20,000 to 24,000 of these error coins were released into circulation before the flaw was detected. And while many of them have been lost, spent, or damaged over the decades, only a few thousand high-quality examples remain today, driving up the rarity and, consequently, the value of the genuine error pennies. And to make matters more intense, forgeries and counterfeits have flooded the market, adding an extra layer of caution for collectors, who now must authenticate each suspected 1955 double die wheat penny through close magnification, weight measurement, metallic composition testing, and comparison with known diagnostics, which include the slanted alignment of the doubling and the precise characteristics of the secondary impressions. And aside from the double die, there are also other minor errors found in some 1955 wheat pennies, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks, each of which can add a bit of value but none so much as the double die obverse. And what makes this particular penny even more intriguing is its place in American pop culture and the rise in interest during the 1960s and 70s, when coin collecting boomed in the U.S., and the 1955 double die quickly became a household name among hobbyists and collectors, often dubbed the Holy Grail of error pennies, and featured in collector guides, coin show exhibits, and museum collections, with pristine mint state examples commanding 6 to 7 figures at auction. And in fact, one nearly flawless specimen graded MS65 red by PCGS fetched over $125,000 in a high-profile auction, and those with red-brown or brown colorations in lower mint states have still brought in tens of thousands. Yet due to continued appreciation in the numismatic market, the most elite samples have become increasingly rare to find on the open market, prompting private collectors and investors to offer multi-million-dollar sums for ownership, especially when combined with the historical narrative and photographic provenance. And what's fascinating is how a simple manufacturing mishap, born from the high-pressure environment of coin production in the mid-20th century, could unintentionally lead to the creation of one of the most prized coins in history. And it speaks volumes about how human error, combined with timing, rarity, and demand, can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. And for collectors, spotting a genuine 1955 double die wheat penny is the equivalent of unearthing a buried treasure. And while the average viewer may believe that a penny is just a penny, those aware of numismatic history know that the value of a coin often lies in its flaws, stories, and uniqueness, and the 1955 wheat penny delivers all of those in spades. And there have been incredible stories of people finding them in old cigar boxes, family heirloom collections, or tucked inside forgotten piggy banks. And every time one of these coins surfaces, the numismatic community takes notice, often setting off bidding wars at auctions and detailed analysis in coin authentication labs. And the U.S. Mint has since improved quality control to reduce the chances of major double die errors, which only makes the 1955 example all the more special, since it represents a perfect storm of error, circulation, and preservation during a specific historical period. And beyond its error, the wheat penny itself is symbolic, representing a bygone era of American coin design, with the wheat ears on the reverse symbolizing agricultural prosperity and national unity, and the Lincoln profile celebrating American leadership and legacy, making each penny not just a monetary unit, but a cultural artifact. And the 1955 wheat penny is the crown jewel of that lineage. A tiny copper coin now worth millions due to a fateful mistake that occurred over 70 years ago. And as coin collecting grows globally with digital marketplaces, grading services, and social media platforms exposing new audiences to the hobby, the legend of the 1955 wheat penny only grows stronger, with young collectors dreaming of one day owning a piece of history so valuable and veteran numismatists using them to showcase the beauty of flawed perfection. And this coin is more than just copper and zinc. It's a relic of a moment when a press slipped, a die shifted, and a legend was born. So if you ever come across a 1955 penny, take a closer look, because that 1-cent piece might just be a millionaire in disguise. And that's why this coin, despite being one of the most common denominations in the U.S. currency system, now holds a place of prestige and fascination among the rarest collectibles in the world. And with that, if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss more stories where pocket change turns into riches and history comes to life one coin at a time.